Good morning, students of Manarat Salim Language School, third prep students. Today we will talk about Unit 3 in the second term for students of third prep science department. We knew that the third unit contains only one lesson which talks about the main principle of heredity. When someone is born, he carries two types of traits, hereditary traits or acquired traits. What are these two traits? The hereditary traits are the traits that transmitted from our parents to us, like the hair color, the skin color, the blood group. This is called hereditary traits. We're taking it from the generations or our generations, our father, our grandfather, our mother, our grandma. And we also are carrying acquired traits, and these traits cannot transmit from one generation to another. It's like the skills we get, like skills of playing football, learning swimming, speaking many languages, learning walking in children. They are traits that we acquired from the environment. What are the genetics? Genetics is a science that research for the transmission of these hereditary traits from one generation to another generation. How? By studying the similarities and differences between the parent and their offspring, their children. Good morning, students of Manarat Salim Language School, third prep students. But before we talk about the laws, we found that the properties we talk about has two types, dominant trait and recessive trait. What is the dominant trait and what is the recessive trait? The dominant trait is the trait that appears in most of the offspring that comes from the pea plant. And the recessive is the property that appears in one or in 25% of the new offspring or the new generation. And he put these traits in a table, and he said that according to the flower color, the purple or the red color is the dominant, which appears in 75% of the new generation, and the white appears only in 25% of the new generation. The length or the height of the plants, they mostly are tall, and 25% only is short. The color of the seed is yellow, and this is dominant, and 25 only of the seeds carry the green color. So we said that the trait that appears in 75% of the offspring is called dominant trait, while 25 only carrying the recessive traits. The first law made by Mendel is called Mendel's first law, or law of segregation, which said that when two pure individuals carrying one pair of hereditary traits and they are making the second generation, we found that a ratio between the new offspring appears as 3:1, 75% of the new generation carrying the dominant trait and 25 only carrying the recessive trait. As shown in this picture, if we are making the law of segregation on the length of the plant, and we bring two different plants, one carrying the tall trait and one carrying the dwarf or the short trait, and when they are mating together we got tall traits, and this is called hybrid individual. This means that this individual carry a different pair of genes. Half of it is from the dominant and half from the recessive, but the dominant trait appears. When someone is born, he carries two types of traits: hereditary traits or acquired traits. What are these two traits? The hereditary traits are the traits that transmitted from our parents to us, like the hair color, the skin color, the blood group. This is called hereditary traits. We're taking it from the generations or our generations, our father, our grandfather, our mother, our grandma. And we also are carrying acquired traits, and these traits cannot transmit from one generation to another. It's like the skills we get, like skills of playing football, learning swimming, speaking many languages, learning walking in children. They are traits that we acquired from the dominant and the recessive traits in human being, like the hair. The dominant trait for hair is to be curly and black, while the recessive to be smooth and with light color. The dominant for the eye to be wide, while the recessive means to be narrow. The dimples, having dimples is dominant, while no dimples is the recessive. Facial franks, no freckles is dominant, while having is the recessive. The tongue, the ability to roll the tongue is dominant. The inability is recessive. Ear lobe, having free ear lobe is dominant, while touching ear lobe is recessive. The color of the eye, having a black or dark eye, is dominant, while the color of the eyes is recessive. Let's talk about the structure of the nucleic acid or the DNA. In the first term, we knew that the nucleus of the cell contains chromosomes, and this chromosome chemically consists of nucleic acid, which is called DNA, combined with protein. And this nucleic acid or DNA is carrying the hereditary or the genetic traits of the living organism, and it consists of chromosome, and this chromosome, as we knew, that is consists of two threads, each of them called chromatid, and these two chromatids are connected at the middle by centromere. And the scientists found that the nucleic acid or the DNA consists of very small parts called genes. What are the genes? Genes are very small parts of DNA that present in chromosomes, and they are responsible for appearing of our hereditary traits. So the nucleic acid consists of small parts called genes, and these genes are carrying our traits. And some scientists try to make a model for the DNA, like Watson and Crick, who were able to make a model for DNA molecule. And also they make two scientists also called Badel and Tatum, who discovered what the meaning of genes or how they control the appearance of these genetic traits, and they received also Nobel Prize for that in 1958. And they said that the mechanism of this action of the gene, they said that the gene gives enzyme. This enzyme works as a chemical message that forces a chemical reaction to occur, resulting in producing a certain protein which show a specific hereditary trait. This is the idea of working of the gene.